Also, GoFundMe's in the description because we're going under. Just. All right. So, admittedly, that took a lot more time than it needed to.
Oh, you guys, I'll let you guys be the judge there, but that one looks like it's gotten scratched up already.
Yeah, that's got some weight to it. I don't know what this is for. All right, so these videos are gonna be all over the place. In the other video, you will have seen that the head has already been off and pistons have come out and this and that, and we've already sent this head off. But unfortunately, the new compression tester will not be in until about this morning at 4 a.m., so this is a new day. So we've gone through some things. A lot of this stuff I'm gonna get cleaned up, and if you guys notice, in the last video, I gave you guys a hint of kind of what's going in this, and I bought another truck. And we're gonna be using the motor out of that. While we're in here, I've already got a 6.7 fuel rail there, and I realized, and I decided to do some research because I didn't want to do this swap initially, but then I realized it uses the exact same sensor. So the 5.9 puts the sensor here, whereas the 6.7 uses it there. We had the race plug in there, so we'll have to change this guy out here, clean this rail up. A lot of this stuff's gonna be new, and then also get the #1 fuel line, because I used that fuel line over here when we took the Banks intake off of here. But if you guys look, see that sensor right there? We can reuse, if we get the right plenum, we can use the 5.9's sensor right here, and that everything will bolt up. It'll just be a different distance. So instead of being in the front, that harness will be in the back. So we're gonna be using the 6.7 rail. I do have plenty of intake plenums laying around for this, but this is going to be, like, I am just doing things that none of this is needed done. Like, we're gonna be getting the fast system. I just decided to do a 165. You can see this plenum here has this sensor, but you can see how it has a cutout for that. So we're not going to use this plenum. I'd rather just get an aftermarket one. I really do like the Black Market Performance one where it just has that side draft. And I've got a ton of other parts up here on the shelf. Like I told you in the last video, a lot of this stuff's going to get sold. But that's where I found some of this stuff. I just have random stuff laying on the shelf. Fluid damper for a 6.7, but obviously we can't use that in the 5.9 application. I need to pull off this roll pan tonight. I need to pull off the hitch receiver. We're going to be doing that. I need to get this bolt out. I'm probably going to start bolting on some spacers, cleaning up the frame. I want to get this pulled off and at least get the new one mocked up. Now, this project is going to take some time. I'm probably going to drag this out because I'm doing one thing at a time. So pretty much how this is going to go is once we get the head back from the machine shop and I get my other truck to get the block, I'm going to throw everything back together. All right, we're going to redo. We're going to use the correct head gasket, the whole 9 yards. And it's going to be slow. I'm not just going to go out of my way and order a shitload of parts. I'm going to be ordering things on an as-is basis. So once I get to that step, I'm going to order that. It'll take a little bit more time, but I'm not just trying to throw money out of nowhere for no reason. You know what I mean? So as I get to those steps, that's when I'm going to spend the money. But let's go get this thing bolted up and see where we're at. I think I need a 17 millimeter. And it should be a couple of 10 millimeters to get that whole top piece off, which I have no idea where the 10 millimeter I had was. So I need to go find that. That way it's installed. I don't have to worry about it being in the packaging. Let's get this guy pulled off. It's a 17 here, a 17 here. This was the return. So like I was saying, I think we're going to reuse that. And then this feed just gets deleted in general. And the feed is now going to go into the back up here, so which this line will get deleted as well. All right, so admittedly that took a lot more time than it needed to. Main reason, because we're switching to the other rail, I had to go and dig through my stash to figure out what we had. So we have the line in right here to the CP3. This is straight from a 6.7, and then it goes up to meet the return right here, and then this line here comes up from right there, and that goes up into the rail as well. And then from the back of the head, the 6.7 line I believe is a little bit thicker, but I'm not worried about that at all. And then we have the return here. I just need to break this bracket off here, and I don't know what this bracket here is for. I think we're gonna end up getting rid of that as well because it just gets in the way. I believe that might have been for the heater that goes here. There's supposed to be a big block here. It bolts into the back somewhere back here, and then there's one there, one there. That's all gone. So I'll probably just end up getting rid of this bracket, because if I come over here to this other motor that I have, yeah, that one doesn't have it. And I had another 6.7 motor that I tore down. That looks a lot better. So pretty much this will just go to the factory line, and then we're gonna get rid of the factory feed line in and just run straight from the FASS to this fitting here. And then this is the fuel pressure gauge that goes into, I'll probably end up making a bracket here to connect these two, or I might just bolt those together. I don't know yet, because I don't want them just hanging. And this I might have to lengthen it. I mean, there's a little bit there, but I also had the fuel heater, and as you can see, this thing was pretty much gutted, but you don't need it. It doesn't throw a check engine light if you get rid of it, so we're not gonna reinstall that. But this is the power supply for the VGT controller. So that's where it gets it switched on power. But I think that looks good. That's how we're pretty much gonna leave it. Obviously, when I pull the head off, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull these lines aside, unbolt this, and just pull the head by itself. We are gonna have to get rid of that, because unfortunately with that bracket back there, I might have to get the 6.7 bracket. Yeah, you see how that's sideways? So I'm gonna have to grab one of the 6.7 brackets, but that's pretty much all I'm gonna do to the motor tonight. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I am fighting to find the physical parts that I need, like those, the toe stuff, or the toe hook that goes on top of it. I had to dig to find those lines, and it all worked out. But for some reason, I don't know what happened to that one there. The front hook bolts into all that stuff, but like I said, we're not using a 6.7 head, but for some reason, I don't see. Yeah, I don't know where it would be. But yeah, we'll have to use a 6.7 one. We can't use this guy, and you can see how this doesn't want to come out. I'm gonna compression test them all. I think that 6 and 4 are gonna be weak. That's gonna be my my bet there. But I gotta get this thing off as well. And at some point, we're gonna pull these springs out as well, and these control arms, and just start going to town. All right, so we got this thing off, and I know it's easy to say, oh, I won't forget how things go back together. So what I like to do, if I'm gonna take this off, which I'll clean this later, this will get cleaned up later, don't worry. I don't wanna forget how this goes, so I'm literally just gonna set this on the steering shaft, and you look, when that bar is gone, look how much room you have to work in here. So I'm just gonna set this right up here. And if it's not gonna stay, we'll set it right there, all right? Same orientation that it would normally go. Not a big deal. We're gonna come in here, clean up all this stuff. Might attempt to pull that front drive shaft, because down the road, when I put the 4-wheel drive back in, I would like to have a brand new drive shaft, because those things explode and I don't like worrying about it. But this needs to get cleaned up. We're gonna prep for paint, and I'm gonna show you the color that I'm going with. And I've been using this color for years, so don't think I'm going out and copying anybody. But this is the paint. It's called Seaside. I've been using this paint for years on my projects. My 12 valve that I attempted to blow up back in the day that would not die, that's what I used on here. Same thing with this back here. Now I do have to go buy more. This is my paint stash up here. And as you can see, we're out. Now, I'm not gonna go overboard with this. There's gonna be a couple of subtle hints. I would like to do traction bars at some point. I don't think we're gonna do that while this is apart, because that we can just do later. And then the brackets that we do for like the, this is pretty much just gonna be an update video. I mean, at this point, it's probably gonna be long as shit. But these are from Max Peating Rods, and they sent me a 5K, I believe, airbag kit. And the reason that's relevant is because on a reverse leveled truck, you generally don't want to go with light bags like this, but, you can see Max Peating Rod says it right on there. You generally don't want to go with that light of a bag if you're going to be towing, and especially with how much weight is back here. A 5K is good for a stock height truck. This truck is lowered in the rear to match the front, and we're going to go even lower by lowering the rear and lowering the front. So it's going to be, I'm going to be getting some drop shackles back here, and that's going to get interesting. We're 100% going to need a 7500 series bag. And if we go too low, I'm going to probably have to do a side mount bag that'll mount the bags like right up against the B&W, but we'll see. That's going to get, we'll see how far into this I want to get. I might just end up lowering the front, throwing the drop shackles in and seeing where we're at, because guys were complaining that that's not even low enough, but I don't want to go that low. Like another 1.5 inches, which would push the front axle a little bit more forward. Not a lot, but just enough it would clear, and we can run the same tire setup and wheel setup. But now that I got that off, I'm going to start getting it cleaned up, and after I get it cleaned up, then I will pull that one. If you guys see the black marks on this side, right there, that was from the vise. So I want to pull that off, clean it. I'm not painting the hitch, I'm just painting the receiver. And then the roll pan itself, we're going to get rid of the bottom 2 LEDs and fix the wiring on that. Because when I put them in, the roll pan lighting didn't work at all. So just the 2 on the bottom, which still was legal, but I didn't like it. So we're going to get that pulled off. I would like to get the roll pan professionally painted. And I've already got people messaging me about front bumpers. And I will not take a front bumper unless it's black. I do not want to have to go and get it painted. So I got an offer on a silver one, and I have to refuse on that because I don't want to do that. Slowly getting, I'm not trying to make this perfect. It just needs to look better than it did. Getting any of the loose stuff off, I get that I could strip this thing completely. That's not the plan. I'm just gonna hit this thing with a bunch of degreaser, get it cleaned up, probably throw some sort of rust inhibitor on it just to keep it from like rotting out. I mean, this thing's probably 15 years away from that, but just to prolong it, I bought this thing. It's gone through pretty much its paces. Yeah, it's not like it was a bad product. I think, I don't even think I spent $100 on it. Like, but these steering braces are so nice. They make a huge difference. Doesn't matter what wheel and tire setup you're on. Just the way the Dodges set up their steering boxes. Oh, okay. But yeah, just the way that Dodge has set up their steering boxes with everything all like cockeyed to one side. And I mean, you guys know Dodges and their steering boxes. This is not a great setup. A lot of times there's slop in the joint as well, which I'm going to look at this all while it's out. A lot of times this gets loose. But yeah, so it helps a lot putting something on it because there is a lot of side-to-side flexion, especially when you put bigger tires on. But I definitely noticed it. And for me to say I noticed something, because I'm not that, oh, I feel a difference type guy. But if I tell you I feel a difference, it's worth it to me. Especially if you know how these Dodges steer. I don't think I've done anything to the steering on this truck since I bought it. So that's really saying something. I did do axle U-joints at one point, but the axles are out right now. I've done brakes. I've done both wheel bearings. And I'd have to go back and look. I know I didn't replace that. I put brand new stock shocks and springs in it because this had a 5-inch lift when I bought it. So, and I think the dealership messed with that. I don't really think I've messed with anything steering wise. I know this is the original box. So maybe we see if I can adjust it more. She's definitely got a little bit of slop in there. All right, boys, don't get too close. I am not a painter, but damn, is she looking good. And I did go through that hook because it's not going to matter if there's paint in there anyway, because the little bearing that goes in there. So I cleaned this up as best I could for what I had. So like, obviously once this gets mounted on and everything, this bearing's still in really good shape. And I've had this on this truck since I bought it. And I think I ran this on my other truck for 2 or 3 years. So I've had that damn near, 6 years, something like that, maybe. I'll have to go back and look at my Amazon history. It's been doing good, just gotta grease it every now and again. So that's the first thing. I think I'm happy with the mud flaps. So things like that, I don't have to touch up. And a lot of this stuff, I'm probably gonna end up repainting a lot of the portion of the frame. Now keep in mind, I know I've said this in the past, but this truck is a temporary. Down the road, when I have plenty of free time and just the time to do it. The plan was to buy an 06 or 07 mega cab long bed and take whatever drivetrain and all my stuff and move it from this body to a different body. I don't even care if I buy a shell, because everything I put into this truck is going to the next truck. Same thing with a long bed. I want a mega cab long bed, and pretty much all that does is add about 10 inches behind this door. So it gives you a lot more room, something I'm happy with. And what's fucked up is that an 06 or like even any third gen with a mega cab long bed is the same size as the newer Ford and Rams. They actually have about the same space. But what I don't like about that is their seats are they're just normal seats like this. Whereas the mega cab seats, they fold down and go into the floor. That's one reason I like the Dodges. Also, I really like the third gen center consoles. We're gonna touch on this real quick. I've gotten guys, hey, try a Ford, try a Chevy. I've tried 3 Fords. I had a 2013 that I drove from, I'm so bad with names. Guy who came down when my MV 5600 went out. I got to drive that Ford. I think it was an early 6.7, and I've gotten to drive 2 2020s, and I've put probably about, I'd like to say a month and a half total on both of them, daily driving them, towing and all this and that. So I've tried the Fords. I haven't tried the GMs, but realistically, the reason I like my 06s and 07s is because that was the first diesel truck I ever bought. And that is the type of person I am. I always go back and buy vehicles that I bought. I've tried newer vehicles. I don't like them. I don't like the technology. I love these 06, 07 trucks, 5.9s, even with a 6.7 swap, even with a 48. I don't like the 68s. I don't like any of these other transmissions. I like the NV 5600s and the 48 REs. That's it. I don't want the Allison swap, none of that. So for the guys saying, hey, go out and try a different truck, I'm not interested. I've already tried other trucks. You can give me any of them. If anything, if I were to go and buy a Ford just to have as another truck, I would 100% buy an 04.5 to 07 6.0. So with what I was saying about this video being all over the place, Max Peating Rods has been bugging me since they sent me this stuff. And mind you, I didn't pay a dime for this stuff. These here I didn't pay a dime for, but like, I can't tell you guys to buy some shit like that. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Those welds are absolutely atrocious. Look at that, they missed there. So, am I gonna use them? Probably. Is it gonna make my truck a death trap? Probably. Let's see what their airbags are like, because this is a Max Peating Rods airbag set. And as long as their bracketry is okay, like you can see here, the welds look a little cold. Oh, you guys, I'll let you guys be the judge there, but that one looks like it's gotten scratched up already. But we're gonna unbox all this stuff from Max Peating Rods. And we're not gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna install it in this video. I really don't think I am, but you can see by their bracketry and all that. I mean, it looks thick. It just, their welds are definitely questionable. Some of this stuff looks pretty good. Now, obviously, all this shit's gonna get painted because I don't want all these random different colors on my shit. Let's just get everything out and laid out. Now, I did have a couple comments on Max Peating Rod's stuff, and ultimately, I've been told you guys don't like them, from what I understand. Now, this is an airbag kit, so this really isn't much to do with safety. Wow. I've used a ton of airlift in the past, but like, what I'll probably do, if this doesn't affect the truck a ton, what I'll probably do is end up installing this whole kit and replacing the bags with just an airlift 7500 bag. But some of this stuff, I mean, okay, aside from the welds, like this is a thick bracket. The chances of you breaking that, probably slim to none. And I already know how this installs. Like this will sit just like that. This will be on the passenger side, just like that. That goes against your springs and your U-bolts. So all that stuff's pretty thick. As for their hardware, this stuff's fine. I've done bags in the past. I don't trust that for an airbag. But what do you guys think? Should I torture test these things? Because you guys know I'm good at that. All right, we're going through, pulling this hitch receiver out. And I'm going to tell you guys, people who drive around with their hitch doing this, I don't understand how you guys do that. So you guys, I've had the question a ton. Actually, people hit me up in the DMs. I've had this question asked probably about 5 times in the last year. Do I use a hitch lock when I'm out on the road? And the answer is no. And the reason I don't is because I use one of these. Now this is a stabilizer. This keeps, obviously I need to paint it. So we're gonna get this cleaned up, repaint that as well. Not teal. That keeps it from, my hitch doesn't move. Like, it is a solid stationary object. Also, genuinely curious on what this hitch weighs. This thing has some meat to it. It weighs a lot. And this bar here that I welded to it, that is actually for an engine crane, which is over here. Now, before I had my shop, I had to do everything mobile. So this was my engine crane. That bar right there and that yellow thing. And that, my welds are what hold that to that piece there. And I have done quite a few 5.9s with it. I don't think I've ever done a 6.7, but I've probably done about 10 5.9s with that hitch. What you'll do is you'll pick it up, you drive forward. So I'm gonna get that thing off, and that's kind of the reason I don't use one of those locks, is because, first of all, you're not gonna get that out of there without making a ton of noise. And second of all, that thing weighs a ton. So if you don't get shot for trying to steal it, the chances of you successfully stealing that are slim to none. And if you do end up being able to steal it, I mean, you've probably earned it at that point, but most thieves aren't that strong. And yes, I always put anti-seize in there. So I will start anti-seizing these, because this is starting to, gotta beat it with a hammer. So, but yeah, this thing, the reason I have this ring here is if I wanna go and do a pintle toe, it's already there, but yeah, that's got some weight to it. That's probably, if I had to guess, that's at least a 50-pound, in between 50 and 75 pounds is my guess. So next step, we're gonna get this guy off and get her repainted. And I got this from Big Hitch Products, and I've had quite a few problems with it pulling down on the frame. I even put supports inside the frame and welded those extras on, and it doesn't seem to have helped. So yeah, we're gonna go through, undo these bolts, get that out, and then the wiring here, see there's one there. We're gonna probably end up replacing all of that, cutting this out, seeing what's good, what's not. 7-way, everything, we'll see. We'll see. This needs unplugged because I'm pulling the roll pan as well. And then I'll probably just end up cutting those. But this top one never worked. All right, so I'm gonna reason with you guys here. I'm realizing, so this is what I run now. Timberins, right? That's relevant. See how squished they are? They are active full time. And this truck, being as heavy as it is, still rides good because of all the weight in the back. If you ran it on an empty truck, that wouldn't make sense. So if I lower the front, all right, and I take those timbrins out, I'll bet you any money says I don't need any drop shackles or whatnot, this truck will just sit level. I would put money on it that lowering the front and taking those timbrins out, this thing would actually drop down even further. Obviously wouldn't be able to tow without something under there, otherwise we'd definitely bottom it out. Full of fuel, this thing weighs about 9,920 pounds. All said and done, with all the tools, the welder, the steel box back here. This is a solid steel box that goes the whole way up. The fifth wheel, that probably weighs about 75 pounds right there. But this skid alone is a good 300-400 pounds if I had to guess. The aux tank, 100 gallons times, what's it, like 7.1 pounds per gallon. It's got some weight to her. So, still working on getting that out. We're gonna do that next, and then start painting it. And then while that's drying, this is already pretty much dry, so I'm gonna throw that up front. We're just gonna throw a coat of paint on everything. This, probably not gonna paint or do anything with this, just gonna clean it up, throw it back in. That thing's been pretty durable over the years. I need to change what isn't broken, but this is a solid steel shank, and I have had 17,000 pounds on the back of that quite a few times. Alrighty, well, we got her down, and if you guys don't remember, I put those, these big reinforcement plates in here, which they only clear if I take the roll pan out, but there's a big 1/2-inch thick piece of steel in there, and it's still pulling the frame right here and oblonging the holes. no matter how tight I've made it. So we need to address that before this whole thing goes back together. But we need to get this thing cleaned up, painted, make it nice again, and fix that, because that was from the vise. I added all of this. I think most of that is stick welded. I can't remember if I stick welded it or I MIG welded. I'm pretty sure I sticked it, but that's irrelevant. Start spraying this fucking thing and seeing what's salvageable paint wise. We'll probably just throw one good coat on it and go from there. Just leave it. But I want to get that thing cleaned up because it's a nice addition. It's a beefy, that's a 4-inch square tube and then a 2-inch here. It's a beefy unit, but they said this hitch is rated for about 20,000 pounds. But I don't believe that. I've put 17 on it, but the problem is it just sags the frame. So need to address it, throw some more gussets in there, something stronger, and we'll go from there. Obviously this truck, even in the 3500 configuration, was never made to have 17,000 pounds on the bumper. So these videos are pretty much just gonna be for the guys that are interested. This is just me sharing my life with you guys. So I'm gonna take that stuff and a couple more little odds and ends here and there to the car wash. I would like to take the intercooler as well. The rad, that was a brand new rad, so I'm gonna take that as, actually, you know what? I gotta pressure test this thing because I had a coolant leak, and I don't know if it was that, but I did have a coolant leak at some point, and I don't know if it was the new rad or not. So we gotta figure that out. The reason this is gonna take me a while to do, I mean, this is probably gonna be a month, 2-month project. 2 months is stretching it. Ultimately, besides the paint and the body work, I don't care about that right now. The main thing is I am at that point where I am pretty much building my dream service truck. Now back, if you guys don't know, when I was, what was it, 22, 23, and I bought my 04 originally. It had 20x12s on it. It was an NV 5600 truck. It was an 04. It was pretty much 99% my dream truck back then. The only downside was the 04 interior, and I could never get over that. Now, I can go and be like, I want to build what I want at this point. The turbo I want, the setup I want, the perfect engine, the perfect transmission. The only thing, I mean, the transmission aside, I want to take my time with this. I really do. I don't care if it takes that 2-month mark. I don't want it to take 2 months, but like, when I get this truck back, I want to know that the only thing left to do besides swapping to another body, it's already black, so I don't care. I'm not in a hurry, and swapping that back window out. But transmission will be the last thing. So I'm not picky on wheels. I don't care. As long as they are 22x12s, that's all I care about. 33-inch tires. I got my drilled and slotted brakes. I get the mileage of a 2-wheel drive truck right now. Eventually I am going to suck it up and just go with the clicky boys up front where you can unlock the hubs. That's what this whole thing is going to be about. Right now, I am working on, already got my knife. We're going to finish clearing out this insulation back here. All this stuff. Now that the engine's out, it's easier to get. If you ever pull your engine out, this is the time. That's the lockup switch wire. I want to redo that as well. But pull all this stuff out. This, I need to unbolt some stuff, but you can see back there. We're going to pull the rest of this, all of this out now. And also while it's out, I need to put a switch up here. So I'm going to undo that. All right, guys, so I'm just kidding. The engine's not actually blown. The only reason I pulled the motor was so that I could get the rest of this installation out. So you have to pull that bolt. There's a nut in here, and there's another nut, and then there's a plastic nut that goes back in there, and you got to clear it, and then you can pull this out. But it is a bitch. I will say that. It is definitely a bitch. Get that all out of there. There's a little one of these. I'm not putting that back on because all that does is hold the insulation. And the hose popped off, so we lost a little bit of coolant, but there you go. Look at all that. It fell down enough to where it grabbed this hose and dropped it. So got the bolt back in, and now we're gonna put the nuts back on, and then I'm gonna put the bolts back in the AC. All that without draining the AC. So actually, I think, yeah, they're both the same. So install those. She's all tight back in there. It took me a minute to realize what was leaking, and this hose, I just left it there. So no more insulation. That has been something I've been wanting to do since day one. And then I'm also gonna take this hose here, while it's out, and we're gonna run that to the ground because that used to get caught in the insulation, and that's why these things rot out, like right there. This goes down in there, and rots everything out. So something hit that at one point too. One day I'm gonna actually, you know what? I could probably just do this now. Take this transmission insulation out as well. All that shit does is cause problems. All right, so we got all the transmission that deadening material. All that stuff is out, as you guys can see. Now, main thing is, that stuff is a fire hazard. You ever blow a fuel line or blow any lines and it gets in there, it catches fire. And I've got way too much money in this truck to ever risk that. I don't like the factory stuff. I don't know that it's ever quieted down these trucks. This truck actually is pretty freaking quiet anyway on the inside, even with the 5-inch exhaust. It's always been a quiet truck. I don't know if it's because of what's in the bed, but it's always been quiet. Does not matter. It doesn't matter. I've always heard tire noise over anything else. Started spraying that with degreaser. All that's done. Everything's done. Gonna redo this wire right here for the lockup switch. I want to redo that and actually harness it. Cut all the zip ties for the transmission. And yeah, so let's get all this stuff moved over. And like I said, I want to pressure test this. That thing's over a year old, but this needs cleaned. Probably not going to repaint that. I don't think I need to. I think it's pretty good, but definitely need to repaint that hitch. But I'm not going to sit here and waste any more cans of brake cleaner on it. I'm just going to go clean it. This I'm going to degrease and clean. Just everything I can get in the back of the Dakota, degrease and clean it. And I think at this point, other than taking the timbrins out, I don't know that there's much else I can do tonight. So this is the stuff like you go and watch like Blake or Gabe or any of these other guys, and you know, they do their stuff and they build trucks and they do this and that, whether they pay someone to do it or they do it themselves, doesn't matter. I am going to try to show you all the bullshit that goes into mine. I'm not going to buy new parts unless I absolutely need to. There's no reason to piss away money when I have, other than the injector thing, because I have 2 full sets of 6.7 injectors I could use, no problem. But I want the 100 horsepower injectors. And I was looking online. For our horsepower goals, the stock CP3 is perfectly fine, especially with EFI Live tuning, Fire Punk tuning it. Those pumps will support 700 horsepower before you need to start modifying it, pending you give it a good fuel source. That's why we're going with the FAST 165 or the AirDog. Let me know what you guys think. I think it was an AirDog 150 or 165 FAST. Vote down below. But 6.7 rail, the only reason I'm doing this is because I have the parts and I was like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, there's no downside to doing it. So I'm going to get these lines all cleaned up, and the only thing I need to buy is that injector line number 1, whichever intake plenum I decide to use. I'm leaning more towards Black Market Performance. See, I like theirs. I'm not a fan of these intake horns like Banks and all that. I don't like the intake horn itself. I like just a nice opening with a tube that comes out of it. I would take that. So look up Black Market Performance and I'll show you, and you'll see what I mean. Which also 1000% means no grid heater. We are not doing a grid heater on this setup because the 6.7 grid heater is absolute shit, and I plug my truck in anyway. All right, so rather than wasting a bunch of time doing it now, I got everything pulled off that I want to take and clean. I'm going to attempt to clean and paint the rail and the lines. We're going to paint this black. I just need to cover up the AC information. I do not care about the front drive shaft information. Thinking about painting that. We are 100% painting that teal, and probably just going to leave the valve cover black, but I don't know yet because I did see somebody paint that as well on theirs. But pretty much everything that I think I can do until the compression tester comes in is done. So we're going to leave this as is. I'm going to go through and tighten up these nuts once the manifold's off because it's already in position. So 3 of them are tight. I know the back one's torqued, but these, I want to make sure these are torqued a little bit further, and then that back one there I want to get while the manifold's off. Set everything aside, set the head, send that off, and then when the block comes, the other truck, and I pull the motor out, then we'll just go from one truck to the other and move everything over. So all the 5.9 stuff has to say we have to reuse the 5.9 wire harness, but I can move everything over while the head is off. Trying to decide on if I want to spend the $900 on the O-rings or if we're just going to go the $450 route and get the head flattened. But I'll let them decide how warped it is. If it's not too bad, then I think I'll put the money into it. But this head does have 388K on. I'm curious to see how the head gasket looks, but I never had head gasket problems with this thing. So we'll see how warped it is, if it's warped at all. If they don't have to take a ton off, more than a few thou, 100% we'll throw the money at it. But if it's one of those where it's like, okay, this head's not gonna be on there long, I'm not gonna put the money into it. I'll just buy a new head. All right, let's see where we are at. So I went through, redid some of the wiring. So this is gonna have its own, it's gonna be in this rather than what it was before. So I got rid of the grid heater wire, and I did end up getting rid of the bracket that was right there. That there is, I don't know what this is for. Maybe that cooler, like a support for it, but there's no other extra bolt holes in it. So no idea. But other than that, I think we are, oh yeah, I also put a bolt in that. So even though this doesn't have a spot, like that's fine. They're all pretty much, I'm just gonna move all these brackets over to everything else. And once it's on the new motor, we'll clean everything up. I thought about taking a bracket from here to here, but then to make it stable, definitely was gonna be a pain in the ass. And then the wiring down here, this is supposed to be on that clip right there. So I am gonna be 100% picky on that. And then any bolts that we don't need are just gonna get removed. You can see there's an empty hole. I did not put that one back in. And I did fix the ground. I didn't clean it off because obviously this isn't the block we're gonna be using. But over here, like when I did the battery delete, there's 2 bolts here that we're gonna get rid of. And I am probably gonna order the fleece drain while we're down here. And I'm gonna order 2 of them because eventually, once we get everything tuned, once the transmission is done, however long that takes me to do, the plan is to go compounds sometime. Like, realistically, I would like a setup that can make over 700, but the plan is to never make over 700. Like, that's just absurd. But the fact that I could have enough air for that and the 100 horsepower injectors, we should have enough air to do anything I need, and there should be no reason that we're overpowering it with fuel, because a lot of guys like to run these trucks smoky, and we're going to try to keep the smoke down, is the wire for it. So a lot of the stuff that I'm not using, like I'll probably end up selling this whole configuration. Like there's a lot of stuff in here, like good parts. These injectors, still everything's good. We just got to pop the tips off. And yes, I know you should balance them and do all this and that. I'm gonna run them with the 100 horsepower tips and run it as long as possible until we have an injector failure, and then we'll just go through. But if you guys can imagine, this is a lot of money right here. And I'm just an average dude. Like, I'm out here, I have a business, you know what I mean? I'm just an average everyday Joe Schmo doing this, and there's always gonna be a budget. I have always been a frugal person. It does not matter. But there's guys out here who will spend $20,000, $25,000 on a motor, $40,000 on a motor, and that's not me, because I don't. The plan is when this goes together, it's going to blow up one day, and I don't want to spend 20 grand on something and have it blow up. So everything, there's still going to be a budget. I'm going to obviously reuse the flex plate, the ARP bolts. That starter's probably going to go, because, I mean, obviously I'll test it, but we'll see. If this starter's fine, we'll run it. But if not, then if it's not fine, then I will obviously replace it. And, I mean, other than that, these motor mounts need to go. But little things. We're going to do little things, dress it up. Before I put the motor in, I'm going to put it in the back of the Dakota, take it down there, get sprayed off. Probably not going to paint it, but definitely get it cleaned up. I need to take... Actually, I guess it doesn't matter. And we're also, as much as I hate it, we are going with a fleece bypass, a coolant bypass. And the only reason we're doing that is because we're making bigger power, and I was told to just do it. So I'm running a 180-degree thermostat with a coolant bypass, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see if it helps. I've always hated coolant bypasses. I'm not a fan of them, and I know a lot of other people that aren't a fan of them either, but we'll see. No expense spared, but still a budget, if that makes sense. All right, roll pin is off. I was able to get all the screws. So this thing's getting a couple of spots. So we're gonna take care of all that. These things are only like 80 bucks, so it's not like it's expensive. These little motorcycle license plate lights, we're gonna get rid of them because they don't last a long time. And then this, from the very first day I put it in, never worked. So I don't know if I got the wires backwards or what, but this will be the license plate light we run. And I would like to get those trailer lights for it. So I just went and touched this to the battery and it didn't come on at all. And that's crazy because it didn't come on since day one. So that means they sent me a defective bulb. But that's just what happens when you order aftermarket stuff. So I'm gonna go throw this stuff here, throw everything on the cart, trying to keep everything organized and together. Gonna be a couple of things we get rid of. Obviously this fuel bowl here. I'll probably end up just setting that on the shelf. This wire harness here, that's gonna get thrown away. I also wanna put a junction box back here on the frame for all the wiring. All right, so these videos aren't all gonna be like this. Next video, you guys should see all this stuff cleaned up, painted, and I don't want to promise you that the new motor will be here yet, but you guys at this point have already seen the compression test. I still have no idea what it is, but I just cannot wait to get this head off and see what the pistons look like, but I promised you guys. So you guys have already seen it, but by the time I've recorded this, I think it's Wednesday morning now. I have a little bit of time to get this. I think we're gonna put this on hold for now, other than like maybe a little bit, probably Thursday. Pretty much gonna do it for this video. I promise you guys we will have a lot more action in the next video. And I mean, I feel like I did pretty good on this video. I don't know what I'm apologizing for, but it's, I think a lot of our disassembly is there. We got at least one thing painted. So obviously, gonna grab the wife's Dakota tomorrow, take everything out to the car wash, clean her truck while we're at it. Once we have the new motor and have everything, that's when I'm gonna start ordering stuff. Also, GoFundMe's in the description because we're going under. Just message for the hate. Just fuck with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys need any work, cpstevemiller.com, and I will see you in the next video.